Hi, and welcome to today's Coaches Show, Socially Distanced. And today I'm joined by Coach Voiles, the head coach of the girls basketball team. Coach, thank you for joining me.
Anytime.
I got a couple questions for you. The first one being, you came off a great win the other night versus New Albany, 54-40, great 14-point win. Tell me about what that win did for the confidence of your team, and how do you feel about that game?
Well, I think just overall last week their confidence built in the games that they played. Seymour was kind of flat. Jennings County, we came out and kind of showed that we could play with a really good team, and I think that alone gave them a lot of confidence. And of course, they don't need motivation to want to go out and beat New Albany. So I think they're really learning a little bit about themselves and how capable they are as players and talented.
Yeah, it was a great team win. I want to talk about two key players specifically, the two seniors, Bailey Gibson and Asia Estes. They both impact the team in two very different ways. Talk to me about the impact they have on the team and kind of the role they've had as leaders on these younger players.
Bailey is an outstanding defensive player. I don't think she realized how good of a defensive player she was, but we have put her on every team's best player. And being 5'9" and as quick as she is, it doesn't matter if it's a post player or a point guard. I can put her on just about anybody, and she just does a fantastic job. She rebounds well. She sees the floor well. So just overall playing a really good defensive game, and she's found a little bit of an offensive game a little bit these last couple of games, kind of seeing where her positives are and what her scoring opportunities are, and kind of exposing that a little bit. Asia does a really good job defensively, just keeping her hands up and not getting herself in foul trouble, and she also provides us with some scoring inside. So she's kind of on one end of the floor leading, and Bailey's kind of on the other end.
Speaking of seniors, I want to talk about Alexis Gibson, and she just committed to Earlham. Talk to me about that and kind of the role she's had, not on the court, because sadly she hasn't been on the court so far this season, but the impact she's had on the bench, cheering the team, and we know she's a vocal leader too, so kind of talk to me about her.
It was really sad when she went down. I was looking forward to coaching her. She was excited. So really, really kind of tough for everybody all the way around, and I think she would have been our leader on the floor on a vocal standpoint, and also probably as our scoring leader this year had she played. But a lot of kids, when they get injured, they kind of step back and don't really stay too involved in the team, and she absolutely has. She's come in, she's at almost every practice, she's doing her physical therapy, she's at practice talking on the sideline, she's sitting behind the bench, she's probably the lead of our cheer block. She's just as passionate about as anybody. I've had my bench warned because she's yelling at the officials, and I've had to turn around, point at her, and she always kind of ducks her head, but she's into every game and she's excited for them and just been a great leader off the floor.
Well, you guys got the sectional bye, and you'll be playing either BNL or New Albany. We all know what happened against New Albany and BNL, so talk to me about what your game plan would be against either of those teams.
Well, I think your main focus is going to be Bedford. I think they are the team to beat. We're going to watch a ton of film on them. We did not play well against them the first time around. I feel like we're a very different team than what we were then. We played very timid. We laid back. Of course, they shot a phenomenal percentage from the three-point line that game. It was 62% as a team from the three-point line. I don't know if they can replicate that. I would hope they could not. So they're an outstanding basketball team. Of course, playing a team twice in 2 weeks is tough. So if New Albany were to pull the upset on Bedford, of course, they're going to come in extremely excited. And they're playing us, so you got that rivalry there. So either game is going to be fun to watch.
We all know you all have an exciting young team. Talk to me about a few areas of the team that you feel like need just a little bit of improvement going into the sectional to help you be successful.
I think our decision making has improved tremendously, and that was kind of my weakness, I feel like, from the beginning of the season. I feel like we're talented. I feel like we have a lot of athleticism. We lacked game experience, and sometimes just understanding those one or two possessions late in the game extremely important. So knowing when to slow down, run some clock, understanding time and pacing of game, something we're definitely going to have to work on. We absolutely have to be able to rebound. If it is Bedford, you got to keep people off the boards. I think they're an outstanding rebounding team, especially playing five guards like they do. So, just little things.
Well, Coach, my last question here for you is, as the regular season comes to a close, tell me about one thing that you're really proud of this team as the season has grown and progressed on. What's one thing that you've really looked at this team and been really proud of from them?
Well, they've given me an effort all year, and just learning how to come in and be focused and ready to play a game from the moment the game starts. And I feel like at the beginning of the year, every game we started off slow and kind of poorly, just not focused on ready to play game pace. And about Sacred Heart, we started learning how to come out and play well from the beginning. And this past week specifically, I felt like we probably played the best basketball that we've played all year in the past 2 weeks.
Well, Coach, is there anything that you want to tell the community about this team, about this year? Just the floor is yours.
It's a very young team. It's a fun group to watch. I think they're going to be even more exciting to watch next year. They're very motivated. They're already talking to me about what do we need to do between now and next year to make us better. So a very young group, freshmen, sophomores mainly, and I think you're going to see a whole different team starting next year.
What do you feel like you need to do to get this young team ready for the postseason? Because we know some of these players haven't gotten a lot of sectional experience, so how do you feel like they can get ready to go into sectionals and some pressurized games?
You know, I think a team this young, you just put them out there. They have nothing to lose. There shouldn't be any pressure on them to go out and feel like they have to do anything special. And that's kind of the thing with a team that walks out there with nothing to lose. Sometimes they go out there and they upset somebody they're not supposed to, simply because they're not supposed to win. And sometimes it's fun to be the underdog.
Well, Coach, tell me about Elle Marvel. As you know, we've kind of seen her get more and more playing time as the season has progressed, and we've really kind of been impressed with her play. Especially, I thought she played really great in that Jennings County game. So, just kind of talk to me about her and her impact on this team.
Elle, I think, started off just being a freshman, not really sure what her role was, and not really knowing how much should I shoot, how much should I press, what should I do. And she has really come a long way this year as a player. And just recently, I would say in the last week, has really started pushing to drive to the basket more, be more aggressive. She had 11 rebounds against, is it Jennings? Yeah, Jennings County, she had 11 rebounds. She had 14 points against New Albany. I think she's feeling a lot more comfortable as a player and feeling like she's not the freshman on the floor anymore, but an equal teammate at this point. And I just think the future with her is extremely bright.
Well, Coach, talk to me about the other side of the bracket in the sectionals. We got Madison, Floyd, Seymour. Kind of tell me about those teams and how you would prepare against those type of teams and how you feel about those teams.
I think Seymour can play with about anybody. They've got a good balance in what they do. So, they're going to give people trouble on it. So, of course, Jennings County is the team to beat on that side. Their freshman post player, I don't know if I've seen a freshman come prepared to play high school basketball the way that she has. She's probably one of the best freshman post players that I've seen play around here in several years, and I've coached a pretty good one myself, and she's pretty comparable to a kid that I coached at North Harrison that's now playing college ball. So I think that absolutely with her and the Addison Kent, the two of them are absolutely going to be difficult to beat on that side of the bracket.
Well, you've had a lot of coaching experience, and obviously you've been coaching in gyms that have had crowds in them. So tell me about how has it been coaching in arenas that have not had crowds in them, or at least had fewer crowds and less of an audience and energy to feed off of the crowd. Kind of tell me about your experience playing this season in gyms without so much fans.
It's a little creepy, honestly, because I'm used to yelling things across the court and saying it as loud as you can so the kids can hear you. And now you say something and you're like, oh, that came out really, really loudly. So you kind of softened up a little bit with that, but it's made it a little easier from a coaching standpoint as far as being heard by the kids, but at the same time we're wearing masks, so I'm not sure they can truly understand what we're saying. So I miss the atmosphere. I like the yelling. I like the cheering. I like that our JV sits behind us and screams and yells, because at least in my ears it's still loud in the gym. So I'm looking forward to us getting back to that next year.
How does this team compare to some of your previous North Harrison teams, and do you find any similarities between some North Harrison teams you've coached in the past and this one?
I had a very talented group that graduated in 2016. They remind me a lot of them at that age. They play really hard. They play really tough defense, but that team also came to high school more of a aggressive team with not as good of shooting and understanding what to do offensively. And they were young and inexperienced, kind of the same situation. As they got older, they got a lot more experience and understanding what they need to do offensively. And I kind of see the same thing with this group. I don't know if they understand how good they could be. We're going to try really hard to impress that upon them. They do play really well against some really tough teams, and I don't think they realize that we can play with these teams all the time. I thought Columbus East was a really good game for them, and I think they didn't think going into that game that they could play with them. And the number of times we've gone in at halftime and I've looked at them and said, you're a little surprised with yourself, aren't you? And they're like, yeah. Sacred Heart kind of surprised them. They weren't expecting that, to be playing with them as well as they did. So, they're right there on a cusp of having the athleticism and getting the experience that they need to be that team that can win those games.
Coach, what are some of the top things that you've done to kind of keep this team motivated this season?
I really haven't had to do a whole lot. They come in every day. They play hard. I can't fault that. These kids love to play. They stay after. They shoot. They're They're putting in a lot of time on their own. They'd go to places outside of here and they work on their own. They really do want to be a good basketball team. So, it's not really been motivation for me. They're pretty self-motivated.
That's great. And that's all the time we have today here on 98.5 WJHI and the Socially Distanced Coaches Show. Thank you for tuning in.